All right, welcome back to the Everyone Everywhere podcast. Again, my name is Trey Brinson, and I'm here with Tim Sexton. And today we have a very special guest with us, our new head football coach at Elka, Justin Roberts. Justin, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody today?
All right, I'm Justin Roberts. I'm excited to be here at Elka. I've spent most of my life in Florida. I did play college football in South Georgia, but I've been a head coach for a few years. I was an offensive coordinator for about 9 years before that. So I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to have my family here, and we're just ready to pour into the community and be a part of it.
Yeah. Man, I got to meet Justin many moons ago.
Yeah, many moons.
It's crazy now because what was it, 2009?
2009, 2010, yeah.
Justin and I got to know each other through FCA. The Lord had called Kayla and I there to start FCA at Valdosta State University, and Justin was a freshman coming in to play quarterback at Valdosta State with an exceptional team.
Yeah.
Pretty good team, but he became one of our leaders in FCA, spiritual leader of the team, and had a quarterback coach that also was a follower of Jesus.
Yep.
And we won't talk about the rest of the coaching staff as well.
If you get one, it's pretty good.
Yeah, we got one. That's pretty good, right?
Hey, take us back to that team in those days, because those were some special moments for you as a player, and you have some jewelry.
Unbelievable story, unbelievable times. It kind of goes back to like even why I chose Valdosta State was a little bit of FCA. I had helped start our FCA at DeLand High School where I played. And I remember when I'd kind of gone on a visit, they said, hey, there's this young guy. He used to be young, right? They said they're trying to start FCA here. And I'm like, that'd be kind of cool, and the neatest thing about it, too, is the Lord really blessed, FCA there with that house, because we had that house right in the middle of campus. And so it was just the best parking spot in town, and you got him in the door that way, and you could talk to him about Jesus, everything else. But no, it was just a really special place. I mean, Valdosta State, I think, is known for the cradle of coaches that come through there. You get the stories about Kirby and Muschamp and everything. And it's just, now, Valdosta State does have some dark sides, certainly. But man, the people and the people that you got to interact with, and I mean, I hate it now because we're getting older, but man, it seemed like for about once every year we had a wedding that we would go to, or somebody's birthday or whatever, and we would just all connect, and it's just such a special group of people. Bubba, who is our team chaplain, Mr. Bubba, he would always say it's not about what you do, it's who you do it with, and so we really. We just had a special group of guys, that we got to do life together with, that we got to kind of challenge each other, hold each other accountable. And I think it's really resonated with me in my coaching career, because I saw, man, our best team at Valdosta State was player-led. It was player-driven. It was player accountability, player ownership. And the coaches didn't have to do a whole lot. The players kind of policed it and the players kind of ran it. And so, we were fortunate our last year there, we won the national championship. And if you go to Valdosta State and you don't win a national championship, you're kind of viewed as a failure, and so we finally got.
That's all of Valdosta, period. Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Wintersville, man, it's crazy. It's a crazy place. It's awesome, but yeah. So we're going to UGA tomorrow for a 7-on-7, and their assistant O-line coach is a teammate. I'm gonna give him a big bear hug and wrestle him, and so it's just a really, really special place.
Georgia is a special place, man.
Georgia,
You're gonna love it.
Georgia is a special place. Yeah, I've never been to Athens. I'm excited. I've heard about it. I've never been between the hedges. But
for those of you who don't know, Justin's dad played at the University of Florida and Central Florida, right?
Yeah. So my dad played at Florida, played for a year at UCF after that, and my grandfather played at Florida State. So
how'd you grow up a Georgia fan?
Yeah, never that. I respected Georgia. I respected Georgia because of Mark Richt. I loved how he carried himself and the man of God that he was. But never a Georgia fan. It's weird up here. Everybody says it's Georgia, Florida. I think it's a Florida-Georgia game. It's a Florida-Georgia game. But now I've gone to that many times, and I'm getting ready to get barked out a lot this year. I think I'm going to get barked out a whole lot.
Yep, you will.
Yeah, but it's okay. My wife is my wife's Alabama. My wife and her family's Alabama. So I don't know. We kind of have a common enemy, I guess. But nowadays I'm a fan of good football, and obviously what Georgia's done is pretty special.
Yeah, speaking of Mark Richt and the influence that he had on people's lives, I know that when you came into Valdosta State, I remember me and Robbie, the quarterback coach then, or good friends, offensive coordinator?
Offensive coordinator, quarterback coach.
But Robbie actually recommended me here to Eagles Landing. He also recommended you here to Eagles Landing.
Oh, wow.
But he went on after Valdosta State, became a quarterback coach, I believe, with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, he was his quarterback coach with the Dolphins his rookie year. He did some time with the Jets. He was an offensive and defensive assistant under Bowles. And his connection was Chan Gailey.
Yep.
So Chan Gailey at Georgia Tech was his coach.
There we go.
So we had a Georgia Tech guy. And Chan Gailey was kind of got into the NFL. And so, Robbie kind of got along with him. And we called it the Circle of Trust.
Yeah.
The quarterbacks in our room, we had the Circle of Trust. And so we still have a Circle of Trust group chat. And, we have a tight end coach at Tennessee. We have a head football coach at West Florida, a head coach at Valdosta State. And then we got a guy in corporate sales, so we're all in that group text together, and we text.
Offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator, yeah. Offensive coordinator at Florida. Well, Russ is a little bit older. He's not in that group chat, but Russ is the offensive coordinator at Florida. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how many people, like kind of like the butterfly effect. It's crazy how many people have spread out from that tree. Just the connections.
Well, one of the things I heard about you early on that I think has withstood the test of time is you came in with a very high football IQ. Probably from
quarterback
dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then second is you were solid in your faith.
Yeah.
And sure, everybody has their ups and downs and moments. Absolutely. But for the most part, you were pretty steady as an athlete. And then even afterwards, when we were interviewing for who to come here to Elka, obviously Eagles Landing Christian Academy is a Christian institution. And we wanted somebody who valued Jesus just as much as they valued football.
Sure.
And we understand the importance of competition. You've been around here for how long?
Yeah, 31 years.
And Elka has had a beautiful track record.
Absolutely.
Took a while, but yes, for a long time. Yeah.
Only school in the state of Georgia to win, 6 or 7 consecutive state championships.
Yeah.
So there's a beautiful track record here, and we're trying to figure out how do we get back there.
Right.
And the first name that popped in my mind was Justin. I actually read an article where Justin had just recently stepped away after a 19-5, I believe, record.
2-year run,
And it was 2 of the more successful seasons at University High School.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Best 2 years in school.
I think you knocked off 2 powerhouses.
Yeah, we did. We had a heck of a run. We knocked off some powerhouses. We got to a number 1 ranking for the first time. It was a really special time.
So,
all right.
No brainer. We're gonna go find Justin, right?
Yeah.
And just to be honest with you, I felt like coming in here, I'm not the savior.
Yeah.
And you're not either.
No, yeah.
But man, we love the challenge.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So talk to us a little bit about how you're going to lead this team, Eagles Landing Christian Academy, both physically and spiritually.
Right. Well, I think you spoke about it a little bit. Like when I was at university, man, we were there. I always it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. We had, we didn't have a home field. You know what I mean? It was funny because here we're a 7A school. And we had rental bleachers, and I'm driving a truck onto the top of a hill for a press box. And, but I would always tell my wife, the story of Nehemiah, in building the wall, and, I'm doing a good work. I can't come down, and I was like, I never had it in my heart to leave. I was just, I'm doing a good work. I'm not going to get pulled elsewhere.
Sure.
And we'd been through several rebuilds, and, I was ready for the next challenge. I felt like we had done a lot there. I'd loved every minute of it there. And so then when I saw Elka, the challenge too, and you see a lot of coaches talk about all the time burnout, because of the family involvement, and so you kind of think about, man, I can have an elite football program and I can push these kids. I can have my family involved. I can see my kids. But then also too, at a public school in 7A, we would give them a lot of Christian messaging, but we had to be kind of calculated on how we delivered it. You know what I mean? And so we would talk about being set apart, and in my pregame speech, we would talk about, Ruth, for such a time as this, this is why we're here. But we couldn't exactly say what we're in the kids, hey, coach, that was pretty good. What was that? Well, it's the Bible,
It's pretty good.
And so it's kind of funny, now here, you didn't even talk it. It's like, hey, we're allowed to say that that's from the Bible. We're allowed to say the verse, and so, but I also think too, like everything that I've always tried to do is I've tried to, and we tell it to the guys, honor the gift, like God has given us all unique gifts and abilities. Mine wasn't exactly athleticism, and so I think I always tried to work as hard as I could, kind of like the Peyton Manning. I didn't have the arm strength, so I better know the reads inside and out, and I better know the coverages so I can get there on time, because I didn't have the luxury of being late and just having this God-given rocket arm to get the ball there. And so we want to tell them, like, look, obviously we're Christians first, right? And the most important thing, if you leave our program and you're not a better man, you're not a better father, you're not a better husband, and your faith's not in a better place, I failed you. But at the same time, too, like, we're going to get better at football, too. You know what I mean? And we're going to make sure that we're challenging you in both those areas. And, and I texted the guys last night in a group chat after our 7-on-7, and I said, I know you guys think I'm crazy. And I kind of put in parentheses, and I am a little crazy at times. And I said, but, I want you to help reach your full potential. And that's athletically, that's spiritually, that's as a man. And so I think it's always, connecting them to it and understanding there's a reason behind everything that we're doing, and tying it all back in, and even talking, like our verse last week, and I actually didn't even plan it, but our verse of the week last week was Colossians 3:23, right? During Camp 323. And, and just telling them, like, hey, when we're doing work, right, the work that you're doing is honoring God, right? It's not, don't do it to please me, because my back's going to be turned, right? My back's going to be turned one day and I'm going to be looking the other way, right? But there's one person's back that's never turned, right? So your work is honoring the gift that God's giving you. And so it's just kind of those reinforcements, but it's also too, like, and the old cliche of players don't, care what you know until they know what you care or whatever. Players also want to know that you can help them be successful, and so showing them, hey, if you do this route this way, it's going to help you out, man. They listen when they know that you can help them benefit,
That's good. That's good stuff.
Really, really cool.
So one other thing that Elka has always been really, really good at is academics.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your academic background.
Yeah. So I was decently, again, I joke, my mom hates it. I say I sat next to smart people, right? But, I got 1B in college. It was freshman biology. But again, like, honor the gift, like, I want to compete. We want competitors. I tell the guys, like, if we're going to play rock, paper, scissors, I'm going to beat your butt. You know what I mean? And so, like, I took school as a challenge. Like, I'll never forget Tyler Josie, who was a defensive lineman. We had, like, a junior business class together, and we had a professor that was like, I don't give A's, period. Like, it ain't going to happen. And he didn't have a PowerPoint. He would write on the dry erase board with one hand, and he would erase with the other hand so that you couldn't take pictures of the notes. But I took that as a challenge. I'm like, okay, let's do it. You know what I mean? And so, that's just kind of, again,
was that your B?
No, it wasn't. No, I got an A in there. Yeah, I did. Now, the gentleman may have had a heart surgery in the middle, and we got an easier professor in the second 9 weeks. But no, I got a B in freshman bio. But again, it's just applying yourself. You know what I mean? And so, like, we tell them, like, we can't say, like, excellence is thrown a lot, right, at Elka, and I've seen that, and it's that word, that buzzword, demand excellence. Well, excellence isn't a part-time thing. We can't say we're going to be excellent on a Friday night, but be lazy in a classroom on Monday morning. We can't say we're going to be excellent on a Friday night, but then on a Tuesday morning in June, we're going to be lazy, And so excellence isn't a sometimes thing. It's got to be in everything we do. But I think that's showing them too, like, I'm going to model that, you know what I mean? And so we're going to make sure that we're prepared. We're going to make sure that we're taking care of them. We're going to make sure that they have snacks, their hydration, nutrition, everything, because again, to whom much is given, much is required. We're going to give you a lot, but we're going to require a lot out of you in the process.
That's what we do with our church staff. We make sure they have a lot of snacks.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'll tell you what, you put a snack pantry in there, and these kids will go to.
I get a lot of good naps in the office.
There you go.
I have a question for you. So, I don't know if everybody listening knows this, but Eagles Landing Christian Academy is an evangelical Christian school, which means parents don't have to sign something when they bring their kids here saying that they're Christians. Right. They know it's a Christian school. Was that something that was attractive to you?
I think it was a little bit, because, and it's funny you say that. I mean, one of the things I loved the diversity at my last school. I love the diversity that a huddle can bring. I love that the huddle and the ball doesn't care whether you're white, black, Puerto Rican, you name it. It's the melting pot. Yeah. And so honestly, one of my first cautious things was, I was like, man, I don't want to go to some place where everybody looks the same and where everybody just has the same. And I can't, because part of coaching, like, one of my biggest beliefs is you don't treat everybody the same, but you treat everybody fair. Some kids are spoken to a different way at home than some kids, and I want to be able to connect and talk with those kids. And so I think that was one of the things that was appealing about here is that the diversity piece, that there is so many people from different walks of life and different backgrounds, because that's what I grew up with. I mean, DeLand was a pretty unique and diverse place, and some might, the joke is like I get invited to the cookout, you know what I mean? But that's who I've been around. That's who some of my best friends are in life. And it's funny now, like we had a lot of Spanish kids on my team back home. And so I learned some phrases to say.
Yeah, I bet you
and
did.
so up here, we don't have that many Spanish kids. So like a kid ran around the other day. I said, "Ay, Dios míos." And the kid's like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "My bad." Like we don't have the, as many guys over here, and so, but I do like that. I do like that belief. And, like you said too, we get them in the seat. Like we talked about the FCA house, we didn't, the church isn't just for believers, what I mean? And the FCA house back then, it wasn't like, oh, you're a Christian, you can't come in the door, right? Let's get them in, let's get them fed, and let's show them how our way is different. You know what I mean? And like I told the guys when we go to these 7-on-7 camps, we want to be set apart. We want people to see, man, what's different about that group? Like how they're carrying themselves a different way. They're cleaning up after themselves. They're, but at the same time too, you still want to be a cutthroat competitor. You know what I mean? Like I told them, I think sometimes, in the Christian life that there's a passiveness or there's like a weakness associated to it, and we were talking about David and Goliath last week at 7-on-7 because we kind of had a team on the ropes, and I was telling him, David Goliath story. Yeah. The slingshot
on the throat,
but yeah, when he's got him on the ground, he takes a sword and he cuts his head off, like there is an aggression there, and so, don't be afraid to also just be that competitor. You know what I mean? Like, yes, when you have somebody down, you get an opportunity. And so, I do like that. I do like that diversity though, and what it brings, and just not just the assumption. And I think you can get a little bit more authenticity there, and you get people, in different parts of their journey in their faith walk.
We can cut this out if you want to, but I got one more question. Yeah. So how would you describe your style? Because I have friends that are football coaches and everybody kind of has their own.
Yeah. So you have to be who you are, first of all. I think, and I learned that at a young age. When I was young, I got with, and I'm still decently young, but my first couple years coaching, I got with a coach that was an O-line guy, and he was just a screamer. Yeah. And I mean, he screamed and I screamed. Then I kind of, and truthfully, one of the best things that happened to me, my first quarterback was the son of a Marine, and he was awesome. And I would just yell him and rip him, and he'd be like, whatever, and he would go. My next quarterback was the son of a single mom.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll never forget the first time I yelled at him, he kind of teared up.
Folded.
And he was the only guy that I had, and he was our best guy. And my O-line coach, who was a huge mentor and just a great, brother in Christ and a great partner, worked together for 10 years. He was like, as a teacher, you have to modify your teaching.
As a parent.
Yeah. And that goes back to, you treat everybody fairly, but you don't treat everybody the same.
Right.
And so now, the kids will ask you to. I still get fired up. I mean, passion's got to be there. You got to be crazy a little bit. You've got to be on fire.
Violent game.
It's a violent game. Attitude is everything. And I tell the guys, like, if I'm having a bad day, right, and let's say for whatever reason I walk out to practice and I'm open around, the whole team has a bad day, right? So we've got to make sure that we're bringing that energy and we've got that juice and we've got to be on top of it. But at the same time, too, there's got to be an authentic piece, and you have to be comfortable in who you are. Like I said, one of my best friends, that O-line coach, he was not a fiery, screaming guy, which typically you kind of want that as the O-line coach, but he was who he was, and the kids knew who he was, and he was comfortable. You can't be something
consistent,
that you're not, and you've got to be consistent. And so, you're seeing me at practice. I'm flying around and I'm crazy. But the thing is too, is you've got to love on them. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna, and some of the kids, they joke with me now, like, and it's funny. The coolest thing for me, and I think our kids see, is like, if I don't have a relationship with him after the 4 years, again, I feel like I failed. Like we were on the bus coming back from our 7-on-7 at Reinhardt, and some of my players from my last school FaceTimed me, and they were at lunch and they were talking, and one of the kids on the bus was like, "They just FaceTimed you?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, like we were going to," and they're like, "Why are they calling you?" I'm like, "Well, those are my guys. Like, I mean, why would they not call me? Like, I'd be upset if they didn't call me. You know what I mean?" And so,
man, you have an opportunity to have such an impact on kids.
Such an impact. And I tell them, like, I want to be the DJ at your wedding. Like, I'll cut a rug. Like, I'll marry you if I have to. You know what I mean? Not like marry you, but I'll officiate the wedding. But yeah, it's the best thing in the world. I mean, and like my dad, who was a coach, it's funny. A lot of times when I got into it, he was like, it's usually not the kids that give you the most headache, it's the adults. And that's true. I mean, because the kids, usually they're knuckleheads, but the thing is too, everybody talks about this generation this and this generation that. to be honest with you, I think this generation's a lot like my generation, a lot like your generation. Well, the difference is they have cell phones now, right?
You're saying we're in different generations.
We're a hybrid generation,
Okay.
you know what I mean? But yeah,
Don't look over here.
we were knuckleheads. They just didn't have a phone in our pocket to broadcast everything 24/7. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And sometimes these guys do that, but I mean, these kids are still drawn to structure. They're still drawn to discipline. They're still drawn to organization. And if you don't have it, they go away. But as long as you offer that, I mean, kids love that. They are drawn to that structure, high efficiency, high functioning, organization.
Yeah. The more you talk, the more I hope you're around here for a long time, so my kid can play for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've got a grandson coming up through here.
right.
Maybe be around long enough for that.
By then, we'll probably have some NIL offers. We'll have to make sure they're on the table,
right.
getting field and everything.
So Justin said he's from DeLand. What's unique about DeLand, Tim?
DeLand.
What movie was filmed there?
The Water Boy.
The Waterboy. You just said that. Okay, yeah.
Now, I will say this, and if you watch, I think I've got a highlight on YouTube. It doesn't look like Mud Dog Stadium anymore after the Water Boy. And the funny thing about that, I don't even know if Trey knows this, when we moved to Orlando, that moved from Orlando to that area, they were filming the Water Boy. And so I was in middle school at the time. And so Adam Sandler, they were filming the pep rally scene down at the St. Johns River, which was like 2 miles from my school. And so my first day of school, kids are walking in with Adam Sandler autographs. And I'm like, this is the coolest school in the world. Adam Sandler's here giving autographs. And my dad, who was coaching, he was like, I had to give passes for kids that they would go be extras in Mud Dog Stadium, whatever. So yeah, it was funny to play in Mud Dog Stadium. And it's a great place. The only thing that kind of stinks is Stetson has started football up. And so, and I haven't really told you this, like that used to be DeLand Stadium. Okay. Now Stetson's taken it kind of over a little bit, and so DeLand gets 4 or 5 games a year, but really that's about it. But no, it's a neat place. It definitely didn't look like Mud Dog Stadium, does in the movie, but yeah, it was a good run.
Well, before we wrap this up, there's a couple of people I want to make mention of, just so that everybody knows who they are.
Yeah,
you have a wife, Jessica.
Yes, yeah. Jessica. She is the hero. She is everything that makes our family run. She is always on the scene. She is the great coach's wife. I mean, any successful coach that you have has to have a strong foundational wife behind him, and she is there. She gets it. She is. My parents are incredibly supportive. They're going to be at a bunch of games. It'll be hard for them because they're used to coming to every game. But my wife, she is just my rock. She doesn't understand football all the time, but she understands a good mood and a bad mood, and she knows what to say, and she knows also too, the good thing about her is, and with anything, just like with all of us, she also can put me in my place, like she can be like, hey, quit being a baby. Like, you're okay. It's one game. And then I have 2 sons, JJ. JJ is a young football. The funniest story about JJ, when I was an offensive coordinator, we lost a district game, and our quarterback had gotten hurt. We didn't score a touchdown, and I'd gotten back home really late. He'd already gone to bed, and I woke up, and he was like at 6 or 7 at this point, and he goes, Dad, you guys couldn't score 1 touchdown last night? And so like JJ is JJ is my biggest critic, but he understands football, and so he sits there and he's a sponge. And so like last night I'm grading 7 on 7, and we're talking about relating to 3 to 2 and capping it, and he's over there and he goes, what do you mean by capping the safety's got to cap the vertical? And I'm like, yeah, that's great, And then Jackson's my youngest. Jackson may be the more athletic of the 2, but he's Bobby Boucher. If we're going to the Water Boy, like he is just tackling fuel. Like he is, and Jackson has not met a challenge that he doesn't think he could overcome. Awesome. You ask Jackson what he's going to do. He's like, I'm a quarterback, I'm a linebacker, I'm a wide receiver. JJ's a little bit more humble in that regard. But yeah, and again, that's what drew me to Elko as well as the family atmosphere. I want our coaches' kids to be around because I want to model to our players what a father's like, what a healthy family dynamic's like. At my last place, and I don't know how much it's here. I haven't looked into it yet, but at my last place, I want to say we had 20% of our roster had a 2-parent home. So 20% of our roster and our kids had both parents at home. You got 80% that have a single parent, or maybe, same with an aunt and uncle. And so they don't get to see what it's like. And so we want to model that for them and show them what that family looks like.
Yeah. Kayla my wife just said the other night, she's like, I'm so glad Justin and Jessica are here. She really likes your wife. And everything he said is true. I get the honor of hanging out a little bit with JJ and Jackson weekends, and they're phenomenal kids. But man, we are so glad to have you here, Justin. And
Really.
do you want to say something else?
I'm just thankful that, that Jesus is a big deal to you, man.
Yep.
For real. This is a huge disciple-making opportunity,
It
spending
is.
that kind of time with those kids. So,
Yeah, I mean, and it's a special place. The term coach is such a heavy term. Like my kids call my dad coach. As grandpa. My grandfather who passed away in December, he was a coach. And I've got signs in my office that have been from their offices, and it's Coach Roberts. And so like I tell those guys all the time, like that's a big. Some of my heroes in my life are Coach.
oh, I remember every one of mine.
Every single one of them, good, bad, but it's a big thing, and so we want to make sure that we're having an impact on these young men, and that we're pointing them to Christ, and that we're pointing them to again a life that is sustainable, and finding the joy, you know what I mean, and obviously the only true joy. Wins and losses will fade, but the journey and the people that you do it with is what's special.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm rooting for you. We're rooting for you.
Yeah.
He's
Go
also
Gators.
in the church here.
Yeah.
So if you see him around, give him a hug, but don't
Yeah, go Jackals. There you go.
Well, thank you guys so much
Yeah.
for tuning in to the Everyone Everywhere podcast. We will see you next time.